Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Thursday, June 25th. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined with our grand champion. I have to take my hat off and give you the rally cap shake and
Oh,
spin
yes.
it
Thank
around
you.
my head. I'm doing the whole 9 yards because you were Mr. Takedown yesterday. So share with our listeners the good fortune and congratulations.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Had a lot of fun. Um, got second place in the big tournament on DraftKings. Took home 5 grand. So that was a lot of fun. It was the Doosan stack that paid
Huh?
off for me, which makes
Finally.
sense. Yeah, finally, huh? And if you listened to the podcast yesterday, that was the strategy that I provided, which was to, if you're going to build multiple lineups, build one lineup with the pitcher against Doosan, and then build one lineup where you stack Doosan against him. And I ended up building a couple different stacks against the SK pitcher, and the Doosan bats really paid off. The value was K. Herr, the third baseman, two
Yeah.
home runs, and Sehuk Park, the catcher, hit a home run, and that brought it all together for me.
Fantastic, man. Five large. That's not any small bananas. That's good stuff, man. So hopefully some of our listeners followed your lead. You know, we had some members that took some stuff down. I didn't play your exact lineup that you hit on. I did a little pivots, and of course those pivots weren't quite as good, but enough to make some profit. But I wish I would have just blindly followed you there. That's very good, though, man. I was really fired up for you. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great team effort, and see if we can do it again tonight.
Yeah, it takes Shane and you and I sometime all of our brain cells, especially for KBO, to try to
That's
put
right.
all of that together between coming off the rainouts and all the craziness that's gone on this week. But the good news is today there's no rain, 0% chance at all 5 games. They're all 5:30 a.m. Eastern games, and so I like having that relaxed notion of not panicking and not having dual times where games are going to lock. So, all right, we're going to dive right in, Andrew. Got to make more money. Got to double that up now. Make it 10G for
Right.
tomorrow. The first game on the slate is the Kia Tigers at the Kiwoom Heroes, and we're going to go to mybookie.ag and look at the odds. And speaking of that, I might as well run through that real quickly. Our two sponsors, mybookie.ag, go to that website, and you can jump on with the promo code Coach Talk, and you get 50% bonus up to $1,000 on your deposit and a $25 free play. So you can't beat it. MyBookie.ag has everything you could want to bet on there, including casino and horses and sports, and you name it, they've got it. Also, TVG, speaking of the horses, gotta love TVG. They have some big races this weekend. Same thing, dfscoachtalk.com. Click on the TVG banner, and you get a risk-free bet that you can only get by going through our website, and that's a $300 risk-free bet. So again, I say it all the time. We're going to be able to keep this offer for just a bit longer, and you got to take advantage of it because, man, it's $300 shot. You don't get those too many times, and if you lose it, they return the money. So, all right. Thank you to them, and let's get right back to that Kia and Kiwoom game. And again, on my bookie, it is Kia minus 135 on the road, so it's a pretty close game. And the over/under is 9.5, and we have a spread from 8.5 to 10.5 tonight, so it's something to take notice of. But this one is right in the middle at 9.5. So let's enlighten us with some of your wonderful Kia Kiwoom knowledge here.
All right. Well, it starts with Kia. This is a matchup where I'm looking to use the Kia pitcher and some of the Kia bats. Drew Gagnon is a power pitcher, 49 innings and 49 strikeouts and only 45 and 2/3 innings. Righties are only hitting 191 against him, and lefties are hitting 282 against him, but no home runs on the season. So he is dealing with this Kiwoom lineup who had success yesterday, but they did have to play 2 games. So hoping for a little bit of tired legs in this scenario. And I like Gagnon here. And these bats, they're going against Young Gun Joe, who lately, he hasn't been completing many innings. He's had some short outings, in pitch count in the 60s the last 3 games. So I think these lefties can get him early. Tucker 5,800 on DraftKings, Cha 4,800. I like both of those guys in the heart of the lineup. And really, you could stack anybody from 1 through 6 here. I like all those guys. So I'll have a lot of exposure to the Kia bats.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think, Kia can definitely hit this guy. He's been super inconsistent, and they'll get in pretty deep into that bullpen. But I know this is, you're Mr. On Fire, but I'm going to disagree anyway. I'm just not on the Drew Gagnon bandwagon lately. I've rostered him the last 2 times he pitched. And so I followed, pitch by pitch on there, and he just isn't pitching well. I mean, doesn't have overpowering stuff anyway, but I just think, a righty against Kiwoom, when you're not pitching well, you can get stung with CO and Jung-Ho Lee and even Kim and Park down in the lineup. So, I think I'm very comfortable rostering a few guys from both of these teams. We know D Park has been nursing an injury, and we don't know if he'll play again. And, for that reason, I like Byung-Ho Park, the first baseman, because he may bat in that cleanup spot. So I'm probably going to go to old reliable Jung-Ho Lee, a little bit of Park, and CO. So I may go 2 or 3 deep against Mr. Gagnon. Hopefully he gags like he did the last couple of games. And I'm with you on the guys you brought up from Kia. I'd probably go one off, but, Tucker, Cha, all those guys in the middle of that lineup are steady. So both of these teams can hit. They're decent teams, but I think the pitchers can be gotten to in this game. So that's the game plan there for me. Game 2, KTW 19-25 at Hanwha 11-34. My bookie has this game as KT is a 136 favorite on the road, and it is a 9.5 over under. So middle of the road there, not a big spread again. Tonight's the night. This is the first time, and I'll go back and look, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time we haven't had a major favorite of over like 175 that I can remember all year long. So what that tells me is you've got to be very selective and smart about your pitching, because especially on DraftKings where you're rostering 2, I always, you feel good when you have that minus 230 pitcher as one of your 2 guys, because, you're expecting to get that W. So that adds a little bit of twist to this slate. But what do you think on this game? It's an interesting one.
It really is. I'm actually interested in these Hanwha bats a little bit. Again, it's something I just don't usually.
Oh,
yeah,
me
you too,
man.
All right,
yeah.
Good. Yeah,
I actually have mini stacks in both my lineups right now for Hanwha, which is embarrassing almost to say.
I know. But they got this guy, Hyung Jun So, last time, 8 earned runs, 9 hits.
Crushed.
And the guy I like the best is Yoon Won Jung.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll bat second again. He had a triple and a home run last night. I just like his lefty bat. And then the leadoff guy, Young-Kyu Lee, I was hoping he'd be a little bit cheaper. He's 4,200. He's not a power guy. He's more of a get-on-base guy, try to hit the gap. So out of those 2 guys, I definitely go with the 2-hitter Jung. And then Taekyun Kim, you could go with as a cleanup hitter, first baseman. He's always going to be lower owned than these more expensive guys who are hitting more home runs. Even the six-hitter K Song, third baseman, hit a double against this pitcher early in the season, 4,100. So again, if you want to make a low-owned stack, you got some good candidates here.
Yeah, I can't believe we're both on Hanwha. That's got to be a first as well.
Yep.
But that's a good sign. I mean, I feel the same way. They've crushed this guy before. He hasn't pitched well at all, and they're cheap. You can get this cheap stack if I like Jung 2-3, Yoon Won Jung the second baseman and Jinho Jung the right fielder, and also take Koon Kim the first baseman as you mentioned. The 2, 3, 4 guys to me are the heart of that lineup. They popped them last time, and I think I just think they're a great team to help you with the rest of your build. Like, for example, I'm planning on using Mel Rojas tonight as a one-off, and I can afford to do that because of some of the savings with the Hanwha bat. So, I'll have a lot of exposure in these first two games, big time, with a 2 or 3 man stack from Hanwha and probably Rojas on the other side. So I'm going to have most of my hitting spots soaked up in these first two games. Not that they're any earlier than the other games, but that'll make me a little bit more quiet, I think, on these last 3. But, anytime to me that you can fade dinos or Doosan stacks, I mean, everybody stacks the dinos and Doosan. So if you can, find some other areas, for me tonight, it's, quinoa, Kiwoom, Hanwha. That would be a combination of the two if you put them together. Hanwoom. And, those two teams specifically, I mean, it allows you to get the pitcher that I want and go up from there. So I'm with you. I like the middle of that lineup, and I'm not afraid to put a guy or two for sure from KTW.
Yeah, and we should mention Hanwha's pitcher briefly, Warwick Sopold, one of the better pitchers in the league. He's only given up 2 home runs all season.
Yeah.
And sort of surprising as a righty that both righties are hitting really well against him, 348, 2 homers. But the 2 best bats that we'd want to get with KTW are lefties. Rojas is a switch hitter, but he'll be hitting lefty tonight. So, I'm going to steer away from that matchup for the most part. I don't blame you for looking at Rojas. He and Baek-ho Kang have really been hot. So I don't mind those guys as a one-off, but probably going to stay away from that matchup for the most part.
It's interesting. I would love to see, I mean, I've seen this happen in the majors where you look at a pitcher's splits and they're lopsided. And although you would expect the guy to hit from the left side, maybe he will bat righty.
Right.
It's possible. It happens. So
it does.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what the scenario is there. I mean, Rojas has power from both sides, but, I'm sure they'll give that a look and see those splits of Softpole too. All right, excellent. Game 3, we're going to the LG Twins and the SK Wyverns. The Wyverns are 13-31. LG is up to 6 games over 500 at 25-19. And our friends at mybookie.ag have this as the top favorite on the board, 178, just over that 175 mark that I had mentioned. And they have the LG Twins favored on the road, minus 178 with the over-under 9.5. What do you say, Mr. 5G?
Well, let's see here. I actually like a couple of these SK bats. They're kind of picking it up, sort of like Hanwha. Yesterday they scored 13 runs in their 2 games, 6 and then 7. So I'm not looking at SK as a full stack, but a one-off, maybe a couple lineups with 2 of them. And I want to make sure our listeners know about this new leadoff hitter for SK, Kyung Ho Kim. He went 6 for 9 in the doubleheader yesterday. He's a left-handed hitting outfielder leading off at only 2,200. And he's facing off against Casey Kelly, who lefties hit 286 against him. So you can get to him.
Absolutely. He's a great value play.
Yep. So I wanted to mention him. Romac hit a home run against Kelly early in the season. He's a great price for that
Yes.
power profile that he has, only 4,400 on DraftKings. So I think he's worth a look. And then down around the sixth hole is Kang Min Kim, another outfielder, 2,900. He's got 5 homers on the year. It's the guy that just gets overlooked because he's on SK. But you could build a stack with 2 or 3 of these guys and then pay up for whoever else you wanted. So I'm not going to be on Kelly as much as I may be on some other slate. I like a couple of these SK bats. And then I do like the LG bats as well. Hyun-Soo Kim hit a home run against this SK pitcher earlier in the season. He didn't get Ramos out in either of his 2 at-bats. So I like both of those guys. I don't like the righties here. John Wook Lee's been really good against righties, but the LG lefties are in play for me.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem rostering some hitters from this team. I mean, I'm not crazy about either pitcher. I mean, Lee's been decent for SK, and LG does have 4 lefties at the top of their lineup. Ramos is still mired in his slump, though, so just not probably going to go there. And Lee hasn't been that bad, 3.4 ERA. So, just better spots, but wouldn't fault you for a guy or 2 at the top of that order with those lefties. I'm not a Case Kelly guy at all. He gets decent ownership because of, I think, the familiarity of some of the folks that follow KBO from the States, because he pitched in the majors for a while. And I just don't think he's looked solid this year. I've stacked against him a few times and been successful. SK is a hard team to really want to stack, especially when I'm stacking a few Hanwha guys. If you're staring at a Hanwha and SK stacks, boy, that you got to have a large set for that one.
Yep.
But there's definitely some one-offs there that, Jay Cha has been on fire for SK, and Romac is, like you said, he's hit Kelly before. So I have no problem, one-off one of those guys in the middle of the lineup. But for the most part, I'm going to try to steer clear because I don't like either pitcher, but I don't think either pitcher is going to get completely blown up. So
I agree.
All right, game 4, a feature game. The 2 best teams in the league, the NC Dinos at 30-13, and the Doosan Bears. Andrew Hansen's favorite team stacked and everything else now, especially.
Yep.
They are 27-17. Very interesting here. On the road, the Dinos, a slight favorite. No respect for your Doosan Bears. So Dinos are -119, and this is the single highest over-under on the slate at 10.5. So my theory here, and it's, maybe one that can be not good, but I'm just going to go out there, and my contrarian advice today is I would imagine 75 to 80% of the people that are going to play KBO tonight are going to have some semblance of some kind of stack of either the Dinos, Bears, or both, because they're the highest over-under. Neither one of these pitchers is that great, although Park's ERA is pretty decent. But, the price is extremely high, and if you do stack them, Sungbum Nas of the world and Jay Chaz and Fernandez on the other side and stuff, they're very expensive. Yang, the catcher. So I get it, and I don't blame you if you go that route. But my contrarian play today is that I'm going to fade this game. Can you believe that? At 10.5 over-under with these 2 mighty hitting squads that are, by the way, the top 2 scoring teams in the league.
Wow, how about that? Well, like you said, you like the matchups a little bit better in the first 2 to 3 games, so you don't have any roster spots left, and it will be a contrarian play. I don't want to build a full game stack here. I think I'm more likely to build a mini stack of Doosan.
Okay.
I do like their matchup here. This Dinos pitcher has an ERA over 5.5.
Yeah.
So he's not that great. They got to him earlier in the season. They didn't even have Jae Hwan Kim that game, who's obviously been on fire.
Yeah.
And Fernandez was good in that matchup, had a couple hits. So the usual suspects are in play for me for Doosan, as well as the value plays who paid off last night, K. Hur and Se-Hyuk Park. And I want to mention the Dinos matchup against this Doosan pitcher. You referenced his good ERA, John Gee Park. He's only had 2 starts this year, and he's off to a great start. Lefties and righties are both hitting under 200 against him, and I think he's a little bit underpriced on DraftKings. It's got to just be because of the matchup against the Dinos, the fact that he's 6,500. But with the eye test, he really scored pretty well for me. His fastball is about 90, even though he's listed as 5'10", 150. To me, he looks a little bit stronger than that, and he's got some pop in his arm. He like I said, he's hitting 90 on the radar gun, and then his curveball is a lot slower. It's like 71, and it's got a lot of downward movement. And I thought the hitters looked like they were really struggling with that change in velocity. He's not one of these guys who throws an 88-mile-an-hour fastball and an 83-mile-an-hour slider. And exactly. It's easy to time. So he really keeps these hitters off balance. He's got a nice changeup that sinks. So I'm not going to stack the Dinos. At most, probably go the one-off of one of the lefties against him. Jin Hyuk No is back in the groove. Unfortunately, it looks like he might be batting, 8th or 9th, which is not ideal. But we'll wait and see where he's batting. Sungbum Na is always in the mix in that 3-hole when he's facing a righty. But I guess I'm not quite as much of a fade on this game as you, but I do prefer the Doosan bats tonight.
Let me ask you this, because we've talked about it a little bit beforehand, and you got to take advantage of it, just like Andrew did last night. The pricing is definitely screwed up. And I noticed that especially when there's a shuffling of the pitchers, rainouts and stuff going on, FanDuel specifically does not adjust.
Right.
And sometimes DraftKings does, but it doesn't make any sense. Now, here's an example. Right now, I'm probably, my second pitcher on DraftKings is probably going to be Park from Doosan. And I'll tell you why. He's $6,500, the second cheapest pitcher on the entire slate. Okay? And who do you think averages the most fantasy points per game of all 10 pitchers today?
Is it him?
Him.
Yeah.
21.1. So how does that make sense? He's the second lowest. It is Doosan at home. But then you've got the other side of the coin. Vegas screaming at you. The Dinos are the better play because they're actually the favorite with a much lesser pitcher, if you ask me. And it's at Doosan. And the over-under's 10.5. So, it's very odd. It doesn't really add up, but I think it's mainly because of some of the mispricing. And to me, why would I want to pay $3,000 more for some of these pitchers when, Park has been steady? Even if it is the Dinos lineup, he's been solid. So I think, that's one of those things I wanted to point out because, it just doesn't quite add up. And then, if you look over on FanDuel, he is more expensive than what I think is easily the best pitcher on the slate from low T, Dan Strahle, with his, 2.12. So, you got to look at the pricing. There are more value plays because I don't think, to be honest, FanDuel's for sure, but DraftKings as well. I just don't think they're as adept to getting the pricing right like they would be for the major U.S. sports, because I don't know what the percentage is of, they probably get 10% of the action on this that they would a U.S. sport. So maybe it's just they're not as stressed about it. But the reason I bring it up the last couple of days, and I will, because just in case somebody misses a few shows and tunes in, spend the time and prepare, because there are such great value players and pitchers that you can create a very advantageous lineup. And we've noticed that, not just because of the huge takedown from Andrew yesterday, but we've consistently been knocking at the door in these big GPPs. And for a guy like me that's a cash player, that, the 3-man or 5-mans or head-to-heads, it just gives you a gigantic advantage. So I wanted to make sure and mention that. All right, man. Game 5. Samsung Lions 22-23. The Low T Giants and my man Dan Strahle, they are 500 at 21-21. And the second biggest favorite on the board is Dan Strahle, almost a favorite, 175. But again, no monster favorite. And the over-under is only 8.5, which is the lowest of the 5 games, which also makes me feel good about Strahle. And I like his price on FanDuel. He is the most expensive pitcher on DraftKings, but it's not, stupid expensive. He's not over 10K or anything. At 95, especially with the bargain of Park at 65, I think it allows you to build a really good lineup in there too. And, right now I'm able to fit in as a one-off, for example, Fernandez from Doosan, again, who I think can hit that pitcher if you go with that route. So for me, this game is all about, the Lotte pitcher. He's going to be the key to my slate. And as far as the hitting in this game, and then I'll let you finish up the entire deal. There are a few guys on Lotte, I think, that are very reasonably, decent plays. You've got the righty Ty In Won, but he's not bad. I mean, he's 4 wins with a 3.19, so I wouldn't recommend stacking. But you can go one off with Asiop Son. He's had some good games, or there's some other good priced guys in the middle of that lineup as well. But to wrap my side of it up, the Kia Kiwoom game and KTW Hanwha is going to be the basis of my hitting, and I'm going to go to the Doosan and Lotte pitchers and a couple of one-offs across the board. So that's my strategy for today. So give us your final wisdom on this game, because I think it may be a pivotal game when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from the hitters in this game. I also like Strahle here. He handled this team last time, 6 1/3, no earned runs, got a great strikeout rate, and they don't have Saladino. He's out with a back injury. Yeah, they do have D Kim back. He just came back in the lineup and had 2 hits yesterday. Dong Hyup Kim. Yeah. So that that makes them a little bit more stout. But again, without Saladino, I like this matchup for Strahle. And then Ty In Won, he went 8 innings with no earned runs against Lotte. And Lotte is good against righties. So you could go with a one-off with a guy like Asiop Son. Jay Gian is good against righties. But at the most, for me, this is a game for a one-off batter just because of salary and the fit. Otherwise, I'm going to fade the hitters, use Strahle, and get my bats from the other games.
I'm with you, man. Couple things real quick. DFSCoachTalk.com. You can sign up there, become a member, join for a week, month, or year. We do not start the clock until July 30th, the day the NBA tips off. So, you can be a member this extra month or 5 weeks almost, and enjoy the KBO and PGA content and lineups. We're providing 6-day-a-week podcasts for KBO, so there's not a game untouched with those guys. And then we have a Wednesday and Friday PGA show for the tournaments that are going on, including the Travelers, which started today, and we'll have, if my main guys don't get going, I'm really going to need that second podcast tomorrow to reload for the weekend. So, I mentioned to you, it's just really an odd thing for you guys playing PGA. I have 3 value plays. They outperform my 3 studs, literally, point-wise and score-wise. So, bizarre. Anyway, so tomorrow we'll have a doubleheader podcast. I'll be on both of them. I'll do the PGA one with Andrew, and the lucky charm, I think we have to start calling Shane, because my big night, Shane did the pod with me, and your big night last night, Shane did the pod. So
that's right.
Hey, he's got to have some. Shane is an Irish name, right? Shane is generally Irish, so
Yep.
maybe he's our good luck guy. So I'm excited to do that with him tomorrow. Also, look us up on all the social media outlets. We're on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk, on Instagram, DFS_Coach Talk. You can check us out on YouTube. That's where we post all of our podcasts. Great library of NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball podcasts there to listen to, and our KBO stuff as well. So check that out. Also, our charity of choice, mambon3.org. That is spelled out MAMBAONTHREE.org. Wonderful charity set up by Vanessa Bryan for the families of the survivors. As far as Twitter goes, last thing, you can follow all of us at DFS Coach Talk. We're always posting stuff consistently on there. If you want to get to us or DM us directly, I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. Andrew is at Language Olympic. And our man Shane, Mr. Lucky, is at DET Sports Shane, because he is Mr. Detroit. So that is it, man. I think that's everything. Again, big thanks to MyBookie. Go to mybookie.ag and tvg.com. You can check them out also on your TV cable networks everywhere. In fact, they're so big, they have 2 stations, TVG1 and TVG2. So that's it. Anything else there, Mr. Big Bucks?
Yeah, for the folks out there considering a provider, jump in as a member and come in tonight, and you'll get our FanDuel lineup in KBO. You'll get our player pool in DraftKings, which I used to have that high finish last night. And we'd love for our next big winning night to include some more of you as members. So come on in and join the family.
And remember, we're the only people that I know that provide and are in there 30 minutes before every lock. And like tonight for me in Dallas, it's going to be a 3:50 a.m. alarm that goes off. I'll be in there at 4 a.m. and I'm sure my cohorts, usually Andrew and Shane, pop in there as well. So, I stood on my soapbox earlier. You can get great value if you prepare, and you can also beat people to the punch that aren't adjusting their lineups. And that every little bit helps. And that's how you get a second place in a giant tournament like that. So great job, man. Again, congratulations. It's awesome to see our team at Coach Talk, rake it in, and members are winning, and it makes everybody happy.
Right on.
All right. Well, enjoy your dinner. I know you're going out for a big celebration dinner. Get us extra lobster tail for me, big fella.
Will do.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Join us tomorrow for the doubleheader. We've, like I say, got both KBO and PGA tomorrow. So thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you again tomorrow when we look to crush it in DFS.